This channel is what studying abroad dreams are made of. Do subscribe and hit the bell icon.
Hey guys, welcome back to our iSchoolConnect channel. I'm Rebecca from Carnegie Mellon University. I'm currently a rising sophomore studying information systems. So this week I'm going to talk about detailed information about SAT. So what is SAT? It actually stands for Scholastic Aptitude Test. It is a required test for a majority of the university in the United States. So who are supposed to prepare for this test? Well, those rising sophomore, rising junior, and rising seniors in high school are definitely recommended to take it and be prepared for this test as soon as possible. So there is also an alternative for this test, which stands for PSAT. It's an easier version compared to the official SAT, but the structure is pretty similar. So you can actually practice yourself in a time situation and check your percentile among the other testers as well. So when I was applying for college, there are only a few liberal arts schools and probably University of Chicago, Wesleyan University, and Wake Forest University do not require standardized test scores, which means they do not require you to submit an SAT or ACT score. But a majority of the students I know who finally got into those colleges actually submit their scores. So even though it's optional for those schools, it's still highly recommended to take it because it can be a plus if you demonstrate your analytics skills and your ability of reading those really difficult articles and passages in a limited amount of time. Because of the COVID-19 situation, lots of the applicants in this semester will have a difficulty of preparing for this test and taking it in person because I know that lots of those SAT exams are canceled. Well, those colleges understand the situation, so I knew that UC schools do not require SAT scores for those incoming applicants anymore for this year specifically. But if you do get a SAT score or already satisfied with it, you're still highly encouraged to do it. But the situation for this year is pretty special. Moving on to the second part, which is about the pattern of the exam. There are 4 required parts and 1 optional writing parts. So the first one is reading. There are 52 questions to be attempted in 65 minutes. There are in total 5 passages. And I think the history one is really difficult because some of those vocabs are really difficult and it's pretty hard for a non-native speaker to entirely understand the passage. So I always get several questions wrong in that one. So when I was preparing for the test, I specifically read more history related content that will practice my understanding a lot. The second part is writing and language test. There are in total 44 questions to be attempted in 35 minutes. Well, this part is less stressful because you will have more time per questions. But there are some specific rules you are supposed to memorize before you're taking the test, like the rules for conjunction and the rules for punctuations. You do need to practice those before you taking the exam. And the third part is math without a calculator. There are in total 20 questions in 25 minutes. And I think it's pretty easy compared to AP and IB, even though for this specific part we are not allowed to use calculators, but those numbers and also the difficulty of the question is pretty low. And the final part is also math. It's math with a calculator. So in total, there are 38 questions in 55 minutes. Well, this part, I think the first 20 questions are pretty easy, but when you moving on to the last few parts or the last few questions, the difficulty will be harder, but I still think it's manageable. As for my personal experience with SAT, I've taken it 4 times. Yeah, really, I've taken it 4 times. I think it's kind of redundant, but because I did not get a really satisfied scores, so I take it for so many times. But I do not recommend people to take it as many as I did. Well, as for the history of my score, I got 1410 in the first attempt, 1420 in the second, 1470, which is the highest, in the third time, and 1450 in the last time, which is even lower than my third time, which is the previous time. So the reason why I did not get a huge boost between the first one and the second one is because I do not have enough time to practice. I just want to try or attempt, or just give it a try. But in the end, there's no significant boost in terms of the scores. So I still highly encourage people to be fully prepared before taking an official exam, because I started to take it in the I think it's junior fall, so I still have a lot of time before the real application. I do not need to be so hurried to take it multiple times. But I should focus on improving my understanding and reading ability or reading speed, rather than taking it and wasting a lot of time, going to those test centers and prepare for that just a week earlier. So I think it's pretty meaningless. And the final results is 1470. I got 670 in reading and grammar, and 800 in math. Well, I think a lot of my classmates do get 800 on math, because those questions are pretty easy compared to AP, and because I've learned IB higher level, so I think those questions are pretty manageable. But for reading, I am a non-native speaker, so my reading speed is pretty low. I did not get a really high score in that one. When you are practicing, you are definitely supposed to put yourself in the same situation as you are going to take the real one. Well, in terms of the study material, I highly recommend you to use those 8 practice exams on College Board. Those are official, but I think the previous 4 are easier compared to more recent one, because SAT was reformed a few years ago. So when they first came out, the new SAT, the grading scale is pretty pretty soft, or less rough or less tough compared to nowadays. So I think you can just practice those questions, but not take those scores really seriously, because nowadays those grading skills are getting more harsher. Yeah. And also there's online academy called Khan. I highly recommend people to take or entirely finish those practices on that website, because it's pretty useful, and when you are running out of testing or practices, you can use it as an alternative. And also, I think you can also use the official PSAT as a practices, but it's definitely easier and less stressful compared to the official one. So I recommend people to take it before taking the 8 official SAT practices. So some tips for future test takers. based on my personal experience, is that you are not supposed to take those tests as many as possible. It's not that the more you take, the higher you will get, because the last time I take it is even 20 points fewer compared to like the third time. So I highly recommend people to finish all the available practice material before you get into the test, because university will probably see the whole history of your testing results, like my university. I'm actually really grateful that the Carnegie Mellon University accept me, because my reading and writing scores is actually below the 25th percentile for my school. But probably because I still demonstrate some specific characteristic in my personal statement and also activity list, so I still luckily got in. So if you do not get a satisfied SAT or ACT score, do not be disappointed, or because me isn't like a successful example that even though you do not get score within the 25 to 75 percentile, you will still probably get into your dream school. So never be disappointed about yourself, and just keep going and keep practicing until you can hit the goal. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And if you have any questions, please comment down below. And if you like this video, please give this a thumbs up. And if you want to watch more college related videos, please subscribe to our channel, or even connect to us on our iSchoolConnect official Instagram channel, Instagram account as well. So this is Rebecca signing off. Take care and bye.